Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Chodesh Tov. Chodesh Adar Sameach. Happy Adar to everybody. Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight we're going to be learning Hilchot Shabbat, continuing on to a new Melacha called Melechet Gozez. Okay, we are done with Bishul. I mean, I can't say that we covered everything, but we must have spent maybe 5 weeks on Bishul. So, definitely did a nice amount with it. And now, Be'ezrat Hashem, we would like to begin Melechet Gozez, which can be translated as shearing. We are sponsored tonight, actually by 2 sponsors. One, the Saidian family, Le'ilui Nishmat Yosef ben Shmuel. Also, the Shaban family, Le'ilui Nishmat Bracha Polet Bat Rachel. We're learning for the refuah shlema of Kol Cholei Yisrael, especially Shmuel Moshe ben Pnina, Yaakov Yisrael Rabbi Melacha Esther Helen, Rabbi Baruch ben Sivya. Any other names we want to add? Yedidia Bat Nechama Sharon, and Rafael, what? Ben Bianca, Chai Rachel, and Yisrael Rachamim, Mordechai ben Evelyn. Hashem should send them all refuah shlema b'toch shar cholei Yisrael. Amen. Yeah, one more. Tamar Yael Mina Bat Chana. Hashem should send her refuah shlema. Okay, so Melechet Gozez is the beginning of a long list of melachot that have to do with the creation of the curtains. Until now, we've been talking about the dyes and all the different melachot that were used to make the dyes. Over here, now we're talking about the creation of the curtains, which is the act of taking wool off of sheep, and it could be any other type of animal as well. And you're taking that wool and going ahead and using it in order to create curtains. So the first step in that process is shearing the wool. The Melacha of Gozez, what I'm about to read to you, is taken straight from the 39 Melachos of Rabbi Ribiat, so he gets the credit for this sentence. The Melacha of Gozez may be defined as the severing or uprooting of any growing part of the body of any creature, even if the creature is no longer alive. Okay? So going ahead and removing the hair, not the hair, the wool, or as a matter of fact, like the way he puts it, any growing part of the body. That's a key term right there. Any growing part of the body of any creature is going to be the melacha of Gozez. The most common example of Gozez is going to be removing hair from a person's body. So let's jump right into it. Therefore, with respect to hair, we have a lot of halachot on Shabbat. So number one, obviously, you're not allowed to cut your hair on Shabbat. You cannot cut it with scissors. You cannot pull it out with hands. Now, it's very important to understand there is a big difference between cutting your hair with scissors versus cutting your hair with hands or pulling out hair with hands. The difference between the two is based on the actual melacha, the way they did it in the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, when they took the wool off of the sheep, they used scissors. They used shearing tools, right? They used a tool. That's the key. It could be a knife, it could be scissors. The point is, it was a tool. To take wool off of the sheep with your bare hands is a deviation from the way that it was done in the Mishkan because it's abnormal. It's not usually done that way. The way it's done is you use a tool. Therefore, if you're using a tool, the Rambam writes, with the Melacha of Gozez, then that's Gozez Midoraita. If you're not using a tool in this Melacha, so then provided that normally it's what is something that you would use a tool for that, right? So then if you don't, it would be an Isur Derabanan. Okay? And we will shortly show why that is indeed such an important point. Just to give you an example of this prohibition of removing hair with your hand, there's a story with the Ariya Kadosh. The Ariya Kadosh had once on Shabbat, I guess by accident, he put his hand into his beard like this. And he was so terrified that if he would remove his hands from his beard, that he would remove a hair on Shabbat. So he left his hand in his beard the whole Shabbat, like that, the whole time, just right there. Now that is not the halacha, however. That's not required. That's a midat chasidut of a very holy tzaddik. By the way, just a thought about that, the beard in Torah is considered to be a very holy thing. It's brought down that, I don't know if you guys on Rosh Hashanah do tashlich, but if you do, then you'll see a long portion of Zohar, which we read at tashlich, and it's all about how the 13 attributes of mercy come to a person through his beard. The channels that they come to him, at least for a man, come through the beard. So it's a very important thing. Could be that the Ariya Kadosh didn't want to lose that bracha. It says Shabbat is Mekora bracha. He didn't want to lose that blessing coming through his beard on Shabbat, possibly. I don't know. But the point is that it is something which we are not allowed to do. You're not allowed to actually pluck any kind of hair out of your body on Shabbat, whether it's ear hair, nose hair, any facial hair, any hair on the head, wherever it may be. You cannot intentionally pluck beard or anything on Shabbat. If you see, let's say, a gray hair, you want to pull that gray hair out so it doesn't show anymore. Can't do that either, right? That's forbidden. You're not supposed to do it for your husband either. It's brought down that even on a weekday, a man is not allowed to pluck a gray hair out of his head on a weekday because it's considered to be a feminine act. And it says in the Torah that a man is not allowed to wear women's clothing. And that extends to even doing things that are feminine. So the Shulchan Aruch says clearly that for a man to do an act like that, to make his hair perfectly black and no gray, that's considered to be an act of lo yilbash gever simlat isha. Man is not allowed to wear women's clothing. In general, yes.
So does that mean men can't dye their hair?
Oh, so I was just going to say. So Moshe Feinstein has an interesting tshuva about it. He says in general, a man is not supposed to dye his hair so that he looks younger. But the question that he was asked was about actually a young man that got gray very early on in life. And his problem was that people were thinking that he's much older than he is. And with respect to jobs and things, that required maybe a little bit more energy than, what older people may have, he was getting turned down. So he asked Rav Moshe Feinstein, can I color my hair? And he said, yes, you can, because you're actually portraying a real image of who you are. You're a young man. You're not an old man. So it's not being done for beauty purposes. It's in order that you should be able to get a job and look, you look the part that you're supposed to be playing. But in general, for simply an older person to dye his hair, it's actually considered to be lo yilbash gever simat isha, which is a problem. And therefore, ladies, don't pluck the gray hairs off your husband's head. It's an interesting thing. Shulchan Aruch says, okay, good. So now, using a hair comb or a hair brush on Shabbat. So a comb is forbidden to be used on Shabbat because of the fact that it will definitely take off hair from the head of the person. So the average hair comb is a problem on Shabbat. You'll say to yourself, well, I don't have in mind to take it off, and it's davar she'eino mitkaven. Well, the answer to that is yes, but it's a psik reisha, and it's a psik reisha with a tool. So therefore, you're looking at something that is indeed something which is removing hair in the same manner that it was done in the building of the Mishkan, in the same manner in which they took off wool from the animal with using a tool, and therefore it's forbidden. Now, are you allowed to run your hands through your hair? The answer is that yes, you're allowed to, because not necessarily will that remove hair. If you do it gently, then you want to part your hair, you want to move it around with your hands, that's okay, because you're not necessarily going to remove hair. You might, but you also might not. You're doing it gently. So therefore, it's davar she'eno mitkaven, and it's okay. Yes.
What if you have like a scrunchie or a hair thing in your hair?
Yeah.
And that, you're taking that out of your head, and that removed hair.
Did it remove hair just now by you pulling it out, or did it remove hair already?
I wouldn't know the difference.
I hear.
I don't think I feel hair coming out when that
So the answer is that I saw that it's brought down that you're allowed to make a pony, ponytail on Shabbat. I guess it's provided that you do it gently. As long as you do it gently, that it's not necessarily going to remove hairs. So then you're okay, because even if it happens, you didn't have it in mind. Problem with the hair comb is that it's going to happen.
No matter what?
What?
With the hair comb, it's no matter what.
Yeah, it's always going to happen.
Whatever, you don't really know.
It's a maybe. So as long as you do it gently, yes.
So
Wigs would not be a problem of Gozez because it's not attached to a body of a person, meaning it's attached to that cap thing underneath it. Now, can you actually do something on Shabbat to that? That's a separate Melacha, perhaps. Can you set it? Can you?
No, if you just
Oh,
want
that's
to
not-
like there's enough.
Want to just comb it?
Wash it.
As far as I know, it's okay.
Wow.
As far as I know, it's okay. It's not. As far as I know.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up again. Yeah. Before I tell you definitely, but as far as I know, it's okay. Okay. A knot over there should not be a problem, as far as I know. Okay, now, is there any way that you are allowed to brush your hair on Shabbat with an actual brush? So the answer is that if you have a very soft brush, like a baby brush, that is what they would call a soft bristle brush, and you brush very gently. And you also, the Mishnah Berurah says that you should designate it for Shabbat. So then it would be okay. So 3 conditions. If it's a very soft bristle brush, like a baby brush, which, to be honest with you, I don't know how much you're going to gain by brushing with a baby brush. Honestly, no, I mean, it's not really going to do much. Usually, I think you need like a comb, you need to, or I don't know, I don't know. As far as I know, the regular brushes are the ones that really undo the knots and get what you're looking for. But that's what they say. If it's a soft bristle brush, gentle brushing, and the brush that you have is designated for Shabbat, then it's okay. So combing is out of the question, but brushing is going to be okay under these conditions. Okay, we're good so far? Yes.
If you see like a hair already falling out, you can just pull it out, right?
If you see what?
Like a hair that's already like loose, can you just pull it out? Or is that like
Mixed into the other hairs?
Yeah.
So it's a good question. Believe it or not, I saw somebody say that because it's still mixed in, it's still a problem.
But it's not
It's
here.
but you don't want one strand.
Oh, you mean like it's just like all the way out?
Yeah.
So I actually saw somebody say as long as it's still attached, it's still an issue. Meaning to your other hair, even though it's no longer in the root. Tangled, yeah. What?
Like this. And get
I don't know.
like
It's
hanging
still
out.
in. It's still in. That's what I saw. That it's still in, and therefore you shouldn't do it. I by mistake brought the wrong book with me, but that's where I saw it in that other Sefer. I'll try and see where he gets that from. But I did see that today. Okay. Fine. More hair in the body. Let's say, so obviously you cannot pull out you can't use tweezers to pull out hair anywhere. Eyebrows. You can use a baby brush. 3 conditions: that you use it gently, it's a very soft baby brush, and it's designated for Shabbat.
Oh, so we have to get a Shabbat one.
Shabbat baby brush. Exactly. For yourself, right? Okay. So other spots of hair on the body, you may not use a tweezer to pull them out. No tweezing eyebrow hair, no tweezing nose hair, none of that stuff. You can't do that at all. Now, there's a very important point that Chacham Ovadia Yosef brings down over here, which we I think we're equipped to understand right now. So we said before that Gozez mideoraita is when you use a vessel. And again, we're talking about the types of Gozez where vessels are used. If I could find you a case where vessels are not used usually, then even if it wouldn't have a vessel, it would still be Gozez on a Torah level. But usually speaking, when we talk about removing hair, we're talking about the normal ways where you use a vessel. If it's a haircut, it's scissors. If it's shaving, it's with a shaver. If it's nose hairs, I would imagine it's with a tweezer, right? It's usually you're using some kind of a tool in order to, that's the standard way. Is that accurate that for nose hairs you use a tweezer? No?
I think guys have those like electric
special
things.
No, yeah.
There's something that you use in order to remove the nose hair, correct?
Yeah.
There's a tool. There's some kind of a tool. What's that? Right. So there are tools that are meant for that. It's not like, you just right. Right. You're not just pulling it, right? In other words, if somebody pulls it, it's a deviation from the way it's normally done. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, great. So therefore, if the tool is being used, it's forbidden midoraita. If it's not, then it's forbidden midorabanan. Now, why is that so critical over here? The answer is because if the whole thing to begin with is only forbidden midorabanan, in other words, even if I intentionally go to my nose hair or to my eyebrow hair and I pull it out intentionally for the sake of looking more handsome. What is this nose hair doing? Boom, pull it out, right? So now, according to what we just said, that at worst is forbidden midrabanan, rabbinically. So the question now is like this. What happens if I didn't even have in mind to get rid of my nose hair or any other hair on the body, but I'm doing something that will definitely cause it to come out, but I'm not interested in that happening. I'm not interested in losing hair, whether it's from my nose or any other spot on my body, but it's definitely going to happen. So over here, Chacham Vadia explains that there's a very important principle, which is that a psik reisha de lo nichale. If you guys remember what psik reisha de lo nichale means, when a person, we said, davar she'eino mitkaven means when I do something that is one action that results in a melacha, right? I drag a bench across the grass and it makes a furrow. If it's not necessarily going to make the furrow, so he said it's okay, right? Because it's not necessarily going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. The answer is you're allowed to do it. Why? Davar she'eino mitkaven. You didn't have it in mind. What about the fact that what if it actually is definitely going to happen? What if it's for sure going to happen? It's so heavy, it's definitely going to make a ditch when I drag it. So that's called a psik reisha, right? Chop off the head of the chicken and you expect it not to die. It doesn't work like that. You know it's going to happen. So therefore we say it's as though you had it in mind. We said also that there are times where the fact that that happened really doesn't make a difference to you. I'm dragging that bench or that table or that chair in, and I'm making a furrow. Again, I know it's going to happen. It's so heavy, but it's in my friend's backyard, and I don't need a furrow in his backyard. It doesn't do anything for me if it's in his backyard. It accomplishes nothing for me. So we said that's called psik reisha de lo nichale. So over here, let me give you a couple of examples. Now that's still forbidden generally. Psik reisha de lo nichale is forbidden. However, in the following examples, we're going to talk about where the melacha that's being done, even if it was intended from the beginning, is at worst only midrabanan. Oh, it's only midrabanan, and the whole thing is a psik reisha de lo nichale. So Chacham Vadia says that's permissible al pi halacha. So for example, let's say somebody wants to blow his nose. He's got something in there, and it is bothering him to know, and he wants to blow his nose real hard. Real hard. He is taking no prisoners. He's going at it, and he is going to blow every last thing that's out there, okay? And most likely, some hairs are going to come out. He's done this before, and based on his experience, he knows that there will be hairs flying out of his nose together with whatever else he's trying to get out. Okay? That's the situation. So the question now becomes, is he allowed to do so or not? So Chacham Vadia takes a look at the situation. He says, look, Midoraita, you need a vessel. In order for it to be Gozez on a Torah level, it has to be with a vessel. Here, it's only without a vessel. It's through blowing your nose. So that at worst, even if you went and took it out with your hands intentionally, it would only be rabbinic, right? Over here, are you trying to remove hairs from your body? No. And you know it's going to happen because you're blowing really, really, really hard. But at the same time, are you interested in it? Do you care for that? Does it do anything for you right now? I'm just trying to blow my nose, right? So then it's a psik reish lo nichale on something which, to begin with, even if I had in mind to do it, it would only be derabanan because I'm not using a vessel. Says Chacham Vadia, technically, you're good to go. No problem. Yeah.
Sorry. Just on the term, just get with them.
Yes.
Short review. Let's say, like, how is secretion below like different than just a secretion? Because like the guy that's killing the rooster, but like he doesn't care. Like I'm not going to use the rooster or anything. I just mean that thing.
That's a nice question.
So I don't understand.
Saying the example of psik reisha with the guy that's chopping off the head of the chicken in order to use it as a toy. So you're saying that example itself is lo nichale. The guy doesn't want the animal dead. He doesn't need the animal dead. That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, that's just that is just an example. In other words, it's just to give you an idea of what psik reisha is all about. That you can't say that you're trying to do something permissible when the act that you're doing itself is a forbidden act. That's what psik reisha really means. So over here, so yeah, in that case, it's a good question. Why would it be lo nichale? Why wouldn't it be something as well? He didn't have in mind. Could be that it is. It's a very good point. But the point is that when it's lo nichale, then the claim that psik reisha is coming to say, you had in mind that this should happen. You knew it was going to happen. You can't say I didn't have it in mind. You knew that this would happen. It's 100% going to happen. So you had in mind that it's going to happen. Therefore, you wanted this melacha. Yeah, but the circumstances show that I could care less about this melacha. It doesn't do anything. For example, if it was in my neighbor's backyard that I'm dragging this chair, what are you trying to say? I wanted a hole in my neighbor's backyard to do what? To plant a tree in his backyard? Like, what exactly am I trying to accomplish here? You're trying to pin it on me that I wanted this melacha to take place. Why would I need melacha to happen in my neighbor's backyard? So here too, why do I need that nose hair to fly out? It doesn't do anything for me right now. I'm just trying to blow my nose. So it's lo nichale. It doesn't do, or it's lo yefpatle. He doesn't care about it. Doesn't do anything for it. So I guess if you happen to have somebody that really wants his nose hairs out, then it's already a different story. But the point is that usually the average fellow is just trying to blow his nose. He doesn't care about it. Now, why is that so important now? Because many poskim hold that if it's psik reisha lo nichale on something which to begin with, even if you did it intentionally, which in this case would be to, let's say, pull out a hair with your own hand, would only be rabbinically prohibited, then that is okay. That's the reason why it's important to be aware of this rule. So says Chacham Vadia, a person that wants to blow his nose very hard in order to get everything out, and he knows the hairs are going to fly out, technically it's okay. If a person, let's say, wants to itch himself, let's say he's got an itch somewhere, it's itching, he's itching hard. He knows that the itching is going to cause some hair to come out, right? So then, again, same thing. Is he trying to get hair out? No. Is it going to happen? Yes, right? But at worst, to remove hair with your hands is derabanan. So it's a psik reisha, but it's lo nichale on something which is only derabanan. Okay, you're good to go. So the strict letter of the law would have it that in these cases, it is permissible. So therefore, technically, you're allowed to itch a spot, even if hair will definitely fall out. You're allowed to blow your nose hard, even if a hair might come out. Now, why am I saying technically? Because there was the opinion of the Ben Ish Chai was that a person should try to be machmir and not blow his nose that hard, and not do it in a way that will definitely cause hair to come out. Rav Ovadia says the Ben Ish Chai is being strict as an act of being pious, being beyond the letter of the law, an act of piety, meaning to try and go beyond the letter of the law. But it's not the letter of the law. It's beyond the letter of the law. Letter of the law is, it's mutar. Why? It's a psikresha lo nichale, on a derabanan. And therefore, it's okay. Okay? So if a person wants to be extra strict and try to avoid it by blowing his nose a little bit more lightly, then it's okay. It's amazing. This was actually, I remember when I was in yeshiva in Israel, so I have an uncle that unfortunately is not Shomer Torah Mitzvot, and apparently that week, when I was in Israel, that in yeshiva, so that week, my uncle says to me, "You heard what Rav Ovadia said on his Motzei Shabbat shiur?" So I was like, "No, what did he say?" He says, "It's asur to pick your nose on Shabbat." I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're not allowed to pick your nose on Shabbat because you're going to pull out a hair." And it's so funny because he's getting his information from the media, from the Israeli newspapers, but they got the whole point of the shiur wrong. The whole purpose of his shiur was to say that there are those that are going to tell you it's a problem, like the Ben Ish Chai. And he says the whole point of the shiur was to say that no, it's a psikresha lo nichale on a derabanan, it's mutar, right? That was the whole. They took what sounded like the most absurd piece of information, they publicized it, and he's like, "Yeah, you see, so you can't pick your nose on Shabbat." So anyway, this Maaseh Shaya.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it like more like modern? Like I remember I went to someone's house. It was like in a certain community where they all ride bikes on Shabbat.
Okay.
And I had no idea how to answer it because I didn't know. He's like, "Do you know why you can't ride your bike on Shabbat?" Because I didn't want to ride bike to like the neighbor's house or whatever.
Right.
And I didn't even know like what he's like. It's because you might come to fix it.
Okay.
And I feel like they make the rule. Like let's say like if you heard about this,
Yeah.
I never know like what to say.
Yeah.
That makes it sound like they make it sound so like it's such like a far-fetched crazy thing. Like you're not breaking Shabbat when you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
how to answer.
Right. Well, look, first of all, you always have to remember. First of all, you always have to ask yourself: is it worth it to engage in a conversation with this person? Some people, they could care less what you have to say. They wanted to make a point and then walk away. Now, give you a little sting and I'm out. I don't really care what you have to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's important to realize there's such a thing. So therefore, you don't have to waste your time. Like I once had a guy. So one time I did, I don't know if you know the Shabbos project. They had this thing every beginning of the year. So I once did something like that in New Jersey for a certain town. And I had this Israeli guy. He comes over to me. He's like, "Well, the Rav." He's like, "Ma'ima 39 melachot b'Shabbat." What are the 39 melachot like that? You see the guy, he's not, he's trying to laugh at me. So I said, "I was just about to ask you. I don't know." What, what I'm saying? He's kidding. There's nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? It's not. So sometimes there is such a thing. So with respect to the bike, it's actually a very real concern because chains fall off of bikes all the time. I had that growing up all the time. I'm riding my bike and boom, there's a chain that's, you have to put the chain back on in order to keep right? Putting a chain on the bike is isur d'oraita. It's mitaken. You're fixing the thing. It's a very big concern. It's very real, very reasonable. And the fact that people want to ignore that, that's their own issue. You know what I'm saying? That's, so if he thinks that it's funny that maybe you'll come to fix it. Rabbi Shliach Tzibur actually told me a story once, Maaseh Shaya, that he was walking on Shabbat with somebody, I think it was one of his sons, and he's on Steamboat Road and he sees a guy on Shabbat with his bike upside down and he's putting the chain back on. And he starts telling the rabbi, "Yeah, Rabbi, we're allowed to ride our bikes on Shabbat. It's okay." Truth is, there is a Ben Ish Chai that matered it, but And the rabbi said to him, listen, there's a reason why. He's like, yeah, they say because you might fix, as the guy's fixing it, he didn't realize that he's fixing his bike. He had no concept that he's actually fixing his bike as he's speaking to the rabbi. So what? Yeah, he didn't process that he's doing. He had no concept that this is called fixing. This is what they were talking about, that you're fixing your bike, and that's a. Anyway, so these things are real. It's a very real thing. Okay, fine. So that's the thing. You have to know if the guy wants to really have a conversation, and if he does, then hopefully you'll be able to package it in the right way that it'll be palatable to the person. Okay, so now, like I said, Ben Ish Chai was machmir as a midat chasidut to try and make it that the hairs will not fly out definitely, and if you can, that would be a very good thing. Okay. We spoke about not being melaket levanim mitoch shchorot. Don't take out the white hairs from the black hairs even on a weekday. Definitely not on Shabbat. That's because of mishum lo yilbash gever simlat isha. A man is not allowed to wear women's clothing. It's amazing. The Torah gives us these rules. It's already thousands of years old, but the lessons are still so applicable today. Okay, a couple of more things regarding hair on Shabbat. There's a very interesting Gemara. It comes up in a couple of places, Masechet Shabbat, Masechet Ketubot. It says that when Hashem created Chava, it says, Vayiven Hashem Elokim et Hatzela. It says Hashem built the rib that he took from Adam. He built it and made it into Chava. The word Vayiven is an act of is building. So from here, says the Gemara, we see that even on a human being, there's a concept called building. So the Gemara says, where's building on Shabbat with respect to a human? So the Gemara says braiding hair. The Gemara says that braiding hair is in different locations called banaita, which is actually same shorsh as the word boneh, which means building. So to braid hair on Shabbat is prohibited because it's similar to the act of building. You're putting one piece on top of the other piece, etc. It's like an act of building. A couple of other things are like building too. You're not supposed to spray your hair so that it stays as is in its set. Yeah, on Shabbat, that's also considered to be like building. Yeah,
Sorry,
similar.
Let's say somebody braids their hair on Friday night before Shabbat.
Yes.
Do you take it out Saturday?
No. Yes, because that is, and as much as that would be like building, so taking it out would be like like destroying. Soter. Also, no curling hair on Shabbat with a curler. That's also similar to building. Like to put those curls in the hair that should be nice and curly. That's no good. Hasidic kids that have beautiful long payas should braid their payas before Shabbat. Or not braid, but curl it before Shabbat. Okay. You are allowed to make a ponytail or a bun, like we said, gently, right? So that doesn't, definitely does not cause hair to come out. Okay. Some other hair removal questions. Are you allowed to remove a Band-Aid on Shabbat when you, let's say, you know that it's going to pull out hair? Possible, right? So, so the answer is that technically you are allowed to do it gently so that it doesn't necessarily have to. That way it would be the She'eino mitkaven. I did see the 39 Melachas book says that you could put olive oil on it to make it a little bit less sticky, that the adhesive stuff shouldn't be, as strong, and therefore it'll be, it won't necessarily cause hair to come out, and therefore it's okay. Nice little help. Now again, remember, if it's not, let's just bring back Rav Ovadia's calculation here. Are you doing it with your hand? Yes. So is it d'oraita d'Rabbanan, even intentionally? D'Rabbanan. It's only d'Rabbanan because it's with the hand. So now what do you have left? Is it definitely going to happen? Yes. Let's say it definitely will happen. Do you want it to happen? No. So it's psik reisha d'Rabbanan d'Rabbanan. So again, the whole thing is technically fine, right? So the whole thing is fine. But lechatchila, we try to avoid it from happening. We try to let it not happen somehow. So we put some olive oil or whatever. But again, if it happens, don't be like, oh man, I just pulled out some hairs, right? Why not? Because again, the whole thing to begin with is the psik reisha d'Rabbanan. So says Chacham Ovadia alav shalom, it's okay. Yeah.
How come we can't apply that logic to like running your hair through your hands through your hair?
That's what I said. You could.
You could?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we always try to say do it in a way that it's not necessarily going to happen. So it's not a psikresha. But again, even if you know, you have to remember if you're running your hands through your hair, it should be for another reason than pulling out hair, obviously, right? Because then it's kaven. You're having in mind to pull out hair. That's a problem, according to everybody. But if you're just going like this, and it's not really a problem. Okay, good, excellent. So yes.
You put in spray like takes away frizz, not like hair spray, doesn't like hold the hair in place, just like
To take away frizz.
yeah,
What does it do? It just settles the hair down.
yeah, it takes the frizz down.
That's an interesting question. Does it stay in place?
My hair.
As far as I know, it's a problem if it stays in place. Just for frizz, let me look it up. Let me make a note to myself.
Say the second instead of dry shampoo.
Sure, 1 second. Yeah,
So dry shampoo is a kind of like same thing.
dry shampoo,
It's like a spray that you put.
and you don't touch it. You don't actually
You could, or you don't have to.
dry shampoo. I don't know anything about dry shampoo.
It is.
I'm gonna look into it. I don't know. Let me get back to you, Lina, there next week. Okay, fine. All right, let's talk about the other big Gozez halachot. The halacha, mainly, it's the halachot of nails. Okay, nails are big in the Melechet Gozez. Okay, so again, same idea. You're not allowed to remove your nails on Shabbat. Because nails grow naturally from your body, and to remove them is to remove a part of your body that grew from your body naturally, and therefore that is forbidden. Now, with a vessel, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What if it's like a hanging nail and the kid is complaining about it?
Excellent question. We'll get there. We'll get there shortly. Okay. Beautiful. Great question. I want to see if I have it. Okay, we'll get there. Remind me. If I don't answer, remind me. Okay, thanks. Okay, so with a vessel, it is forbidden midoraita, just like with hair. Without a vessel, it's forbidden midorabanan. So therefore, you're not allowed to remove your nails with a nail clipper. You're also not allowed to bite your nails off, because the clipper is going to be doraita, but biting your nails is going to be midrabanan. You can't file your nails, right? It's also a problem on Shabbat. Good? Okay, great. Now, it's very important to make sure not to be in the habit of biting nails in general or peeling nails off in general. Sometimes people get antsy and they start to peel nails off, or they start to bite their nails off or stuff like that. So I once heard from one of my rebbeim, Rabbi Ben Porat Shlita. So he says that he once, I believe he said he was once by the Stipler Gaon, and the Stipler of Chaim Kanievsky's father, Stipler Gaon. So he said that the Stipler Gaon observed a particular individual that was constantly, biting his nails, constantly. It's just one from the other. And he knew he had a problem. But the Stipler said to him one day, Mechalel Shabbos, you're Mechalel Shabbat, you break Shabbat. So he said, why? Because if you're doing this all the time, then there's no way, you have to be doing it on Shabbat too. So if you're doing it on Shabbat too, that's a problem. Right? So therefore, it's important to get out of the habit of biting nails in general, and peeling them off as well. One very wonderful piece of advice is to clip your nails before Shabbat. That way you don't get into any Shabbat questions. You also avoid other problems of netilat yadayim with a chatzitza, for example. That's why it's a really beautiful custom on Friday to cut your nails in honor of Shabbat, because what I was saying before is there's a rule that if you do not like having dirt underneath your fingernails, and you are makpid, you're makpid to have clean nails, which means you're strict on that. You don't allow yourself to go without having clean nails. So then if you wash your hands with dirt under your fingernails, when you do netilat yadayim for the Seudah on Shabbat, so it doesn't count because you have chatzitza underneath your fingernails. You have dirt underneath them. That's a problem. So there's a whole question on Shabbat. Are you allowed to remove the dirt from under your fingernails or not? We hold that you are allowed to technically. The Mishnah Berurah says you should do it like on a downward motion so that you get it out like that without having to like do memachek, which means to kind of cut or smoothen the nail by making it like, I don't know exactly how to say it, but basically he says that if this is your nail, you go down to clean it for netilat yadayim. But again, the whole purpose of this point is to say you shouldn't have the issue to begin with, because you need to make sure that you clip your nails on Friday so that you don't have this issue. So there's no question of cutting your nails on Shabbat. There's no question of cleaning them. And also, very importantly, if a lady would have to go to the mikveh, she already cut her nails on Friday. She doesn't have the issue. Yes.
Okay. So let's say you don't usually wear nail polish, because there's people that are always wearing nail polish.
Okay.
So then let's say one Shabbat you're wearing nail polish, then is an issue for washing?
No, nail polish is not an issue for washing as long as it's nice, as long as it's done well.
But it's chipped.
Chipped is a problem if you are makpid that it shouldn't be chipped, which means if you are upset, if you don't normally let it stay like that, you fix it, you remove it, so then already it's an issue, right? So now again, we usually are very lenient when it comes to checking. No, you don't really see people looking at their fingernails before they wash netilat yadayim. It's not so common because people aren't so aware of the halachot. But the point is that you avoid a lot of issues just by removing those fingernails. Really, it's the question that we're talking about is not so much what's on the fingernail as much as what it is inside of the fingernail, above your skin over here. So you have, let's say, a part of the fingernail that goes up on top of your skin, and right over there is the dirt. So that's really what you have to get rid of. If you're generally strict on that for yourself, you understand? If you're not strict, if you don't care, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
If you have a Band-Aid on and you can tell it you're done, is that a chatzitza?
No,
Okay.
because you're going to be eating it with the Band-Aid on. Yeah. Right.
So the idea of the chatzitza is only on Shabbat?
No, it's always.
Always?
It's always. But the point is that you don't have the issue. I mean, we always wash on Shabbat, so you avoid the issue by having your nails clipped. You don't have to worry about chatzitza. I have nothing there. No nails. Yes, and also for mikveh. Yeah.
Is there a law in general against having nails like longer than the nail bed? Like, what if someone's nails are always longer?
Kabbalistically, there's a thing. Kabbalistically, it's brought down that if you put your fingers like this and you can see your nails on top, that's a problem. Kabbalistically.
They're not halachic.
No.
So if somebody always keeps long nails and like anything, like if you touch food or like you're preparing a salad, things get under it. So if on Shabbat you're washing, you can then take it out in a downward motion.
Yeah. What I like to do is I like to like power hose it sometimes. Just kind of put it underneath the thing and I just, like that, you're usually good. Okay, great. So that's the story with nails. Now, that's a very good reason to do your nails on Friday. You avoid all these questions. As you know, a person must remove their nails before dipping in the mikveh. Very important. If a person forgot to remove their nails before Shabbat and their mikveh night is Friday night, so now there's a whole big discussion amongst the poskim what you are allowed and not allowed to do. To make a long story short, ask a goy to do it for you on your hands. Okay, so you have to go and get a goy to clip your nails. Now, there are some who are strict to say that you have to have the goy peel your nails because because they wanted the goy to be doing it in a way that's only the Rabbanan, not a way that's Deoraita. But there are those that are lenient, that the goy can actually clip your nails for you. It's a whole big discussion about it. Now, what if that's not possible? There is no goy. There's nobody around. There's no random guy that you can go up to and or a lady they can go up to and ask her to clip your nails for you. So in that case, you have to really make sure to just clean them really, 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 really well. And when it comes to feet, by the way, if you have nails on your feet, so over there, the Mishnah Berurah says, and other poskim bring it down too, that it's better that you just clean it rather than have a goy remove it. So clean it really, 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 really well, and then you're able to go. Okay. Now, if you didn't, let's say, comb your hair, as you know, before going to the mikveh, you got to comb your hair. So if you didn't have that done, so then again, you'd have to get a goy to comb your hair before Shabbat also, because the whole purpose of the hair combing is to remove the knots from your hair, and that you should, everything should be untangled. So you would need to get a goy to comb your hair as well.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
Fridays, is there a goy usually at a mikveh?
Not that I know. Not that I know.
So what are you supposed to do if you can't?
That would be a smart head.
If you
But during
can't,
the week, there's a
If-
goy there.
yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
wash
because
it.
of the towels and things like that.
Okay.
they do.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they have one there too for Shabbat. I'm not sure. I don't know. When it comes to hair, if you did not comb your hair and you can't find the goy, it's a challenge. I don't know. You have to really consult, your LOR, whoever is nearby, local Orthodox rabbi. Okay. Hopefully they'll be able to guide you. Fine. A nail that was majority detached. Okay. If you have a nail on the body, majority of the nail is already detached. That nail may be removed by hand on Shabbat. So somebody, okay,
Nail question.
correct. That's your hanging nail question. That's right.
you
So
could remove it with the hand.
with your hand, not with a clipper,
No, no.
with a hand. So you could just, now also you got to remember sometimes when it's like that, you have to know if it's like going to cause bleeding or not. It depends on how it's removed. In other words, if it's just hanging and it's a little pull and you're done, then that's fine. But if it's hanging and it's like attached to some deep skin and stuff, and like pulling it out will actually cause you to bleed already, then you have to know that's not okay. Yeah.
So what do you do?
This is kind of gross, but I did it once for my son with my mouth,
With your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay.
so it's fine.
Mouth, hand is all the same because it's not a vessel. That's the point. It's the abnormal way of doing gozez. Okay, very good. Now, cuticles, okay? The cuticles are the parts of the finger that are on the sides of the nail, and we don't know which, there's actually one direction in which, if they're in that direction, the direction is called going up. If they're going up, you're allowed to remove them. If they're going down, you're not allowed to remove them. The problem is we don't know what going up means. And there's an argument amongst the rabbis. One says going up is this way, and the other one says going up is that way. So yeah, either way, it's just Shulchan Aruch. According to one of them, we're violating Shabbat. So therefore, for all intents and purposes, you may not remove cuticles on Shabbat. Okay. No removing warts or skin tags, right? Person has a skin tag, you cannot remove it from your body on Shabbat, or a wart for that matter, or any kind of skin for that matter, because skin grows on the body, and to remove it is an act of gozez, of removing part of the body that grows naturally. However, a dry scab may be removed if it won't cause bleeding. Let's say somebody had a little cut, it formed a scab, so the scab dried up. So that dry scab may be removed. I guess you have to know that it's not going to bleed because it maybe has been there for already a week or something. It's not, you haven't touched it, and everything is already closed up underneath. So if you know your body, you know that it's not going to bleed. So therefore, it will be okay to remove scab. The scab is not a part that grows normally on a body. It was blood that came out that crusted, and therefore it's okay to remove. Clear? Okay, great. Like we said, itching could remove skin sometimes, and therefore you wanna do it gently so that it does not necessarily remove skin, and therefore it's not a psikration. The whole discussion amongst the poskim what to do if a person has nits in his hair. Nits, the eggs of the lice. So you can't pull out hair, as we know, but you could pull out the nits individually one by one. Hashem Yishmor, you could potentially do that. There are all kinds of treatments that are, that are involved in these things. Unfortunately, not many of them really work. The way that I've seen it done, you have to team up with a couple of other ladies, let's say, and just one by one, taking care not to pull out hair. Yeah.
My son was playing with his lip and he was showing that he had extra skin on it. He wanted to pull it out.
Yeah.
On Shabbat, and I kind of stopped him, but he was.
What do you mean? On his lip, he had extra skin?
Like it was kind of chapped, maybe, and that's why he was trying to bite it off. He was trying to peel it off.
Yeah, it's good. Good thing you stopped it.
So I tried to. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. That's okay.
Even though it's like dead skin,
it still grew naturally on the body, right? Let's say, an interesting question. Let's say that somebody has a splinter underneath the skin, and you need to it's under a layer of skin. So over there, they say you can actually, if you need to, you can cut the skin a little bit to get to the splinter underneath, but you can't remove the skin. Removing the skin is Gozez, right? You can open a slice of it in order to get, to the splinter underneath if you need that. But you can't
pinch the splinter out.
Yeah.
And then because you're trying to get the splinter out, the skin will go.
Okay, that wasn't necessarily going to happen, right?
Right.
Okay. The terms are clear to everyone, right? These are important terms, right? You have them all clear? Okay, very important. Yeah.
Also, Rabbi, sorry, I don't know if you discussed this, but the issue of bleeding.
Right.
What is it because of like hormones?
So it falls under the category of shochet. We didn't get to that melacha yet, but it falls under the category of melechet shochet when you cause bleeding. So over here, you're allowed to take out the splinter, even though it might cause bleeding. That's not a problem because at the same time, it also might not cause bleeding, right? So therefore, it's davar she'eino mitkaven, it's okay. Alrighty? You have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there is a splinter, like let's say you take a tweezer, like sometimes you like soak the skin and you like technically take the tweezer and like mold it out. Like that's not okay.
That's okay.
Skin.
That's because you're
basically peeling the layer of the skin to get the.
You can open it, but you can't remove skin on Shabbat.
Okay, but if I'm using it to like push back the skin and then pull out.
That's okay, because you didn't take off skin. You just cleared it out of the way.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
So you use a tweezer to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not growing anywhere.
Right. A splinter, right? Yes. Yeah. Davar she'eino mitkaven means when I do something, I'm trying to accomplish one thing, and the result of what I'm trying to accomplish is a melacha. I'm trying to drag the chair from point A to point B on the grass. And that's what I'm doing. I'm involved in the act of dragging a chair. Is the act of dragging a chair a melacha? No. But it happens to be that while I was doing that, my act of dragging a chair made a ditch in the ground. Making a ditch in the ground is a melacha, right? So the question is that okay? Am I allowed to drag the chair knowing that I might make a ditch? So the answer is that as long as it's not definitely going to happen, it's allowed. Right? So therefore, if it may happen, okay, it may happen, but also might not happen. Right? But then there's another category called psik resha where it's definitely going to happen. That's forbidden. Sure. Okay. We have any other questions?
So can you use kitchen scissors on Shabbat to open, let's say, like a package or something, food package?
You are allowed to, yes. Scissors are muktzeh on Shabbat,
Right.
but you're allowed muktzeh for letzorech gufo. In this case, we're going to learn about that. You're allowed to use something which is muktzeh for the purpose of it itself. So you could use the scissors, yes.
Use scissors on Shabbat?
If you need the scissors, yeah.
My brother said it once, and I couldn't tell if he was joking or he wasn't joking.
Yeah, you're allowed to use the scissors if you need them.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I like grew up not religious, and like one of the things my family had was you're not allowed to cut with scissors on Shabbat. Like there was like 6 rules. Like don't turn on a fire, you don't spend money, you don't use a scissor.
I hear. Okay. All right. Very good. Excellent.
Good to know.
And it was shocking.
We'll stop over here, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. You guys saved the night.